How's it going, guys? JP back at you once again, bringing you guys episode number 12 in my entire DVD and Blu-ray collection. This is where I show you guys everything that I have in my collection, DVD by DVD and Blu-ray by Blu-ray. Right now we are still on the DVDs. We are not even halfway through the DVDs, so let's get back into it with episode number 12. First up, we have Halloween. Halloween is one of those films that I did not see at a young age. Everybody loved Halloween. The first Halloween film I seen was Halloween 3, so I didn't even know, have the same experience that other people did. But I knew who Michael Myers was. But while everybody was talking about Michael, I just wanted to talk about Freddy and Jason. So I really kind of had a disinterest in the Halloween films simply because I didn't see... just based on an outsider looking in, I didn't see what was so awesome about Michael Myers, you know? And it wasn't until about middle school or high school that I actually first watched Halloween. You know, I'm ashamed to say that, but it's true. And I really didn't even care for it then. And it wasn't until much, much later when I really watched it, sat down, knew more about film, that I saw how truly amazing it was. And now it's become one of my favorite horror films. Still not my favorite, but definitely one of my favorite. It's a brilliant film, absolutely amazing. This is not the first time that this is not the last time that we're gonna talk about Halloween, because of course I have other editions of it in my collection. But for now, Halloween is a classic, and it's funny that I did not enjoy the franchise when I was growing up, but I definitely like it now. Then we have Halloween 2, which is a great sequel. It takes place right after the original film, you know, same night, and it's set in a hospital. And as silly as the hospital setting is, with the lack of staff and the lack of lights, it works really well. You have to bend the rules a little bit. You have to suspend your disbelief a little bit. But besides that, man, I mean, it's a brilliant sequel. I love it. I love the way Michael Myers is in this film. He's actually my favorite version of Michael Myers. Good stuff there. Love the sequel. Awesome stuff. After that, we have Halloween 3, which was the first film that I've seen in the Halloween franchise. It was the one that I grew up watching, not the other films. So this was kind of my version of Halloween. And I will say that even though I love this film, people always say that if it wasn't in the Halloween franchise, it would have got a lot more respect, but I disagree. I feel like if this film wasn't in the Halloween franchise, nobody would even know it existed. It would be a lost, forgotten, not talked about horror film. I feel like the Halloween franchise really propelled this film, and only by that reason do we kind of associate it and love it as much as we do. I feel like there would be still fans of it, but I definitely think a lot of people would not have cared for this film. And you know, a lot of people didn't care for it because of that reason also, but I think that in both cases it would have not been cared about. And you know, it's a bad movie. I'm confident in saying that this is a bad movie. I do like it, but the plot is ludicrous. It makes no sense, it's stupid, and it is filled with plot holes. But the technique and the setting and, you know, some of the cool effects and music and score and stuff is really good, and it really does capture the Halloween spirit and feeling. And that's why Halloween 3 is good. It's not because of the script, because the script is awful, and it makes no sense. It makes no damn sense at all, actually. But yeah, Halloween 3, I love that film. Halloween 4. One that, you know, I did like when I first seen it. I liked it quite a bit, actually, but as I've seen, I've watched these films, all of them, for the last 3 years. The last 3 Octobers, I watched every Halloween film, and I think it's finally time to take a break on them, especially the sequels. I still will watch the maybe first 2 or 3 films, but when you get into 4 and so on, I think it's time to take a break from them, because I'm kind of Halloweened out at this point. You know, this one is decent. It's a good one. But it has major problems. It's good in terms of, you know, bringing back the Myers character and stuff, but, you know, it's time to take a break on these films. So, Halloween 4. And of course, Halloween 5. These films really do go hand in hand. They feel like very similar. It's like kind of part of the same arc. And A lot of people do not like the kind of lead character in this one, but I do. It's not the cousin of Jamie Lloyd. It's actually the friend of theirs. I think her name is either Tina or Rachel, one of those. But I actually really like her. She's probably my favorite character in the Halloween franchise, maybe besides Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis. But a lot of people don't like her. So Halloween 5, definitely time to take a break on those films, but you know, they have their place. But it's definitely not my favorite franchise. After that, we have Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection, and Mother's Boys in an Echo Bridge 4-pack. Before I owned the films in other formats, this was the only way I owned these films. Halloween 6 is actually one of my favorites in the franchise, simply based on, I don't know why. It's a bad movie. It's a complete mess, but I don't know. It's something about that sequel that I just kind of like. I don't know what it is, really, I don't, but it's kind of one that I do find more fun than Halloween 4 and 5. But it's definitely a terrible movie, but the producer's cut definitely has helped it along a little bit. Halloween H2O I actually really like. I think it's a nice follow-up to the original two films. Of course, it is a Scream clone. I mean, it's probably the best Scream film that's not Scream. It really does feel a lot like Scream is definitely heavily influenced by it in 1998 or whatever. But it's a good movie. It's one that Moods and Jeremy don't really care for that much, but I think it's a really strong Halloween film, and definitely like it. Then we have Halloween Resurrection. Absolutely awful, terrible movie. It's so bad, it's hard to even talk about. As a fan of the series, it's just so sad to see. As a fan of H2O, it's so sad to see them ruin the ending by bringing in Resurrection. I mean, it's just terribly made. Then we have Mother's Boys, which I've actually never seen, but it does star Jamie Lee Curtis, in case you was wondering why it was thrown on that 4-pack. So after that, we have the Halloween remake, which I'm a huge fan of. I always get into arguments with people about this film because I hate when people say that it's a badly made movie. It's okay if you say you don't like it, you don't like Rob Zombie's style, but it's an absolute lie to say that it's not a well-made movie, or to say it's a bad movie is just wrong. I cannot see it. I do not see it ever successfully argued that it is a bad movie. People always point to the excessive use of the F word, or how the people are too white trashy. But something that people don't realize is that these people exist in real life, and I've met them. I've had rubbed shoulders with these type of people in real life, and they do exist, and they are terrible people, and they are scumbags. And Rob Zombie just loves to put the spotlight on them, and I for one love that about him, because it has this rawness to it that filmmakers often don't show. These people often do not show the underside of the world, and I feel like the people who really hate that Rob Zombie does that are just people who are ignorant to that side of the earth, the underworld. So yeah, I love this film. I've talked about all of these films on the podcast last year. We did an entire episode on the Halloween franchise, 2 episodes actually. We covered the first 6 films on the first episode and the rest of them on the second episode. I believe episode 28 and 29. Check it out if you haven't yet. Great podcast. We covered the films very in depth. That is the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast. You can check it out on the website if you haven't yet. So after that, we have Halloween 25 Years of Terror. This was the Anchor Bay documentary put out years ago. I remember finding this in a Walmart dump bin and was just super surprised to see it there, for one, and to see that it was only $5. I mean, this is a heavy DVD set, has 2 discs and a comic book, I believe. Awesome documentary. I didn't love it at first, but it actually, because I had just seen Nightmare on Elm Street, the Elm Street Legacy, or Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street Legacy, and that's kind of what I wanted out of this film, but it didn't deliver as good as that film. But of course, none of the documentaries since have delivered as good as that film. But I have grown to really love it. I mean, it's a really good documentary. It's a good, fantastic documentary on the Halloween film. So definitely check it out if you never have. It's a cool. It's one of the cooler franchise documentaries out there. After that, we have Hanger, which is the other Ryan Nicholson film we talked about on the podcast, which is one of our better episodes, one of our more viewed episodes. You know, these films aren't for me, but I ended up liking it a little bit. It has this comic book vibe to it, which I did like and enjoy. But man, these are some out there movies. A lot of big fans of it though. So if Ryan Nicholson's your thing, definitely check out Hanger. Next up is The Happening. This is one that a lot of people don't like, but I found it very enjoyable. I'm not gonna lie. It teeters on the edge of really being way too over the top, and it probably is. But for some reason, I dig it, man. I thought it was pretty cool. It's like kind of like it's a big budget mainstream like B movie almost. It's weird. It's hard to explain, but I do like The Happening. After that, we have Happy Birthday to Me. I believe I do have a Blu-ray version of this now. This is a fun slasher, man. It's been a while since I've checked it out. I grabbed this like for $3 on Amazon one day, and I checked it out for the first time. You know, it has its bad slasher moments like any slasher of '81 or of the time. But man, it's a pretty unique one. I definitely like Happy Birthday to Me. Looking forward to revisiting it, possibly on that Blu-ray that I have. So after that, we have Hatchet. Hatchet's one that I love. I love this film. This film and Frozen really got me into Adam Green, and I love his commentary on this film. And it's just one of those films that, when horror was kind of slacking a little bit, this film came out and kind of showed us, you know, some of the icons that we love, like Freddy Krueger and Tony Todd and Candyman, and kind of reintroduced them to us, like, you know, in case y'all forgot type thing. And it says old school American horror on it. Definitely not, in my opinion. It's definitely more new school and more cheesy, trying to be old school. But I love Hatchet. I love Adam Green's efforts with these films, and you know, I really can't say too much bad things about Hatchet. It really does have like a fine line of over the top comedy and horror. I wish it would have been more just straight up horror, but you know, it's fun. It's a fun movie. And after that, we have Hatchet 2, which I actually do prefer over the first film. I feel like this one was a little bit more serious, but at the same time, it still had its over-the-top gore, which I'm not the hugest fan of. I really don't like the ridiculous kind of gore. Fun. It's a fun movie. I really do love the Hatchet films. I love all three of them. And they're ones that I can kind of go back to over and over again. It's been a little while since I've watched it this time, but they are, Adam Green is one of my favorite filmmakers, and I do love going back to these films. I have listened to all the commentaries on all of his films. He's such an interesting person. I love hearing him talk. After that, we have Haunt, which I actually still haven't cracked open. This is an IFC Midnight. Picked it up at Walmart a few months back. Almost a year ago probably, and just never cracked it open. I don't know, a movie called Haunt really doesn't do much for me based on intriguing me, you know, just based on cover and title. Usually kind of avoid films like that, but I'll check it out eventually, you know, it's probably alright. After that, we have The Haunting, and this one is one that everybody loves. I just thought it was decent. It's definitely a well-made movie, but not really my thing. I don't know, it was alright. I don't really remember a whole lot about it. It's definitely like I said, it's a good, well-made movie. I'm probably going to get some hate for not liking it. And I'm not saying that I don't like it, I just didn't love it, is what I'm saying. Sorry. After that, we have The Haunting of Molly Hartley, and this is one that I haven't seen. I probably won't watch it for a long time, just based on, this just doesn't look like it's for me. I ended up getting this in a lot or something like that, so I didn't even go out and seek this one out. It just kind of fell into my lap, so gonna be a while before I check that one out. After that, we have The Haunting of Rebecca Verlaney. believe this is a German film, and I hated it. I actually did watch this one. It is one of the worst films that I've ever seen, probably. I cannot say anything good about it. I don't even really want to talk about it. I think I gave it like a 2 out of 10 or something. It was really bad. Not a fan. After that, we have Head of the Family, which I've talked about before. It's a full moon film, and it's definitely a fun one. I love this era of full moon. This was probably like 95-ish or somewhere around there. Ridiculous, silly, cheese fest, bad, but still charming and fun. Has that full moon vibe to it. It's a ridiculous one. Still pissed they never came out with the Bride of the Head of the Family, but maybe, I'm sure that Charles Band will eventually resurrect it and we'll see it. But for now, we just got the original to check out. After that, we have Hellgate. This one is one that I still haven't seen, IFC Midnight. For a while there, I was trying to pick up all the IFC Midnights that I could, but there's just way too many of them, and I have other labels that I'm still trying to collect, so I put that on hold for a little bit, and, you know, just grabbed a few of them. But this one looks kind of cool, like an alien film or something. Have to check it out sooner or later. After that, we have Hellraiser, the original classic. I would like to grab this on Blu-ray one day, but I'm really waiting for like a super awesome edition, and I don't see it coming anytime soon, so I might just have to grab like that double pack with Hellraiser 1 and 2. You know, it's a classic, man. I was on record one time saying that I thought it was overrated, and I kind of reversed my statement a little bit on that because I watched it since, and I really was super impressed by it. I kind of seen it in a whole new light, and it really is just an amazing movie. And what I noticed about it was the world. It is a whole different world that you couldn't even come up with. It's crazy that a human being thought up this world. And that is the world of Pinhead and the Cenobites and the non-Christian version of hell. It's super cool. Hellraiser is a classic for a good reason. It is an amazing movie. Then we have Hellbound Hellraiser 2, which I actually even like more than the original for all the same reasons. Julia is such a bitch. The gore is so good. The one scene where dude's like scraping off his arm with the razor. Oh man, that always affects me in a bad way, man. Hellraiser 2 is a classic. After that, we have Hellraiser 2 again. This is the this is actually a VCI UK version of this film. I actually won this in a contest. I don't think that it has any different special features or anything like that. I don't think that there's any like different footage or uncut version or anything. It's just another copy of Hellraiser 2. So yeah, Hellraiser 2. After that, we have Hellraiser 3 and Hellraiser 4, the Echo Bridge Home Entertainment releases. I remember when I finally found this in the Walmart dump bin when they first got announced. I was looking for them forever and ever and ever, and I finally found it because I didn't have Hellraiser 3, and I wanted it really, really bad. Because it's kind of out of print, so to see it even in this Echo Bridge 4-pack or 2-pack, I was so happy to get it. And you know, Hellraiser 3 is probably the last good Hellraiser film. I actually like that one quite a bit. Way more of like an 80s like Freddy Krueger slasher. I believe it was even the early 90s actually, but still, I don't know, it took Pinhead in a different direction, a worse direction, but I still found it very enjoyable. Hellraiser Bloodline, not very good at all, but I will say that, you know, it at least is a Hellraiser film, unlike the ones after Hellraiser Bloodline, which is Hellraiser 4. I heard that production was a mess, and I heard that there's another work print version that's actually a better movie out there. Maybe one day we'll see that released. Then we have Hellraiser Deader, which is actually the only other Hellraiser film that I own in like this standalone edition format. This one actually does have special features on it, which I find hilarious. This is the actual Dimension version, not the Echo Bridge version. I remember grabbing this at a video store that closed down. You know, the Hellraiser films are very interesting. I would love to talk about them in depth and in a long format one day, but for now, we'll just leave it at that. Hellraiser Deader is pretty bad, but, you know, all of those later Hellraiser films are bad, but I still kind of, like, almost like them in a weird way. So that's it for this part, guys. I'll see you guys next time with another part. Peace out.